Do it to it, Mountain Dew. Do it to it, so cool and smooth. When I got a third. Oh. That was the outro. From Calexico to Nunavut, from the Aleutian Islands to Newfoundland. This is the Dynasty Pulse, and we have the continent covered. What's up, everybody? I am bigz. He is Grindberg. We are Grindberg and bigz. It's the Dynasty Pulse. We are coming at ya live on tape. Recorded. We're going to be talking about our 2024 flag plants. It's OTA season. All of the teams are doing their on-field activities. We like activities, and yeah, we're talking about flag plants. Who's my guy? I got a bunch of my guys, and we're gonna talk about that today. How you doing, Mike? You ready to talk about your guys?
Yeah, my guys are planted flags. It's flag plant season. I think we're almost ready for that. OTAs are hanging down, and we're the first on the scene with our flag plants. And maybe we might be a little premature on it, but I think that some of these guys that we're talking about today are really gonna help people in their drafts. So that's why we're flag
premature was my nickname in high school.
Exactly. Why?
Because I was born a month early. My due date was April 1st. I was born March 6th, which coincidentally was 9 months after my dad's birthday. I was my dad's birthday fuck trophy.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, so we're talking about flag plants. We're going to be going over all of the positions: the quarterback position, the running back position, the wide receiver position, the tight end position. If you're looking for IDP, look somewhere else. God damn it, we're not into that shit. I mean, I am, but Grindberg's not.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about first, Mike? Should we get into quarterbacks?
No. How about we talk about kind of just the platforms that we're representing today, and that's the Undroppables and the Fantasy Football Plus Network, because they're both...
Shout out Brad Stalder and Chalk.
Yeah, and all the guys out there on Undroppables, thanks for the support. You know, things are growing here on the Dynasty Pulse, and we have two platforms that are supporting us very vividly, and we want to thank them for that support. So
we are simulcast.
Yeah, buddy, and that's a huge privilege to have, and we're just very thankful for that. So before we get into the quarterbacks, I wanted to kind of say that. So bigz, who is your quarterback flag plant? Because there's a lot of quarterbacks out there, and there's a lot of quarterbacks in Dynasty that are kind of floating up and down. Are you a guy that's looking for like a youngster, or are you a guy that's flag planting on a veteran?
My flag plant is a veteran. Now, there is some controversy out there. Some people really like to focus on young players in Dynasty, but when you're talking about the quarterback position, we talked about this last week with Brian Hartman. In rookie drafts, your rookie draft quarterbacks are going to carry value across years, but they're not necessarily going to score you points. Your veterans are going to score you points. So when you're in a startup, you're looking for points. And my flag plant is Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. You thought I was going to say Trey Lance. So at this moment, when we're talking about ADP, Dak Prescott is not being drafted in the top 10 quarterbacks, which begs the question, why? Dak Prescott had a pretty good year last year. In fact, if I do my research, we are looking at a quarterback that finished as the PPR quarterback 3. So what gives, people? He's got one of the top 2-3 wide receivers in the game. He's got an offense that allows him to throw the ball. He was looking at 590, almost 600 attempts last season. He's got competent wide receivers. He's got a competent tight end. I mean, the guy chucks it, and he does well. He's not being drafted as the quarterback 3, but he's going to give you those kinds of points. Now, that could be a result of the season that he had in 2022, where he finished as the quarterback 18. But in the years that he's healthy, he's finished as QB7, QB10, QB2, QB8, QB3. When the guy's on the field for 16 plus games, he absolutely produces as a top 10 quarterback. And so Dak Prescott is my guy. I'm taking him everywhere that I can. I'm getting him in second rounds. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And to just refer back to that, like, we not only talk about these guys, we actually perform that way, and we put our money where our mouth is. You know, Biggs and I were in the Undroppable startup, and we took Dak Prescott with our 211. That's how much we believe in his longevity in the league. I know he's still working on that contract, and we're not sure what the Cowboys are doing there. But Dak Prescott is a guy that, you know, if you got CeeDee Lamb as your number 1 wide receiver, you got to have Dak Prescott up there, because otherwise, how do you support that? And
Dak Prescott is being drafted, according to Fantasy Pros ADP, at QB 13 behind Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, and he finished, what did he finish at? QB
3
last year?
QB 3, 4.
Okay. Yeah, and now he's 1 year, you know, in that offense outside of Kellen Moore. You know, now they're year 2 in that Schottenheimer offense. I just see them, you know, becoming more accustomed. I think they're going to come out of the gate using CeeDee Lamb right away, because I don't think their run game is going to be there. You know, they got Zeke as their number 1 running back potentially. You know,
Zico and Rico.
Yeah, Zico and Rico, and that's not, you know, opposing fear in opposing teams, in my opinion. And I think their pass game didn't get any really big additions this offseason. So CeeDee Lamb, I mean, is the big guy. So if you're putting him as your number 1 wide receiver, you got to have Dak in there too. So yeah, I like that flag plan, Biggs. And you want to hear mine?
No. So of course I want to hear yours. Who's your flag plant?
That hurts me, man. That hurts me. And you know what? There's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that get a lot of steam, and none more than actually this guy that I'm going to talk about, and that's Caleb Williams. He was, you know, the 101 in the NFL draft, and he's been the 101 in a lot of rookie drafts, other than when I see a guy like Biggs who likes to trade out of the 101, like he did in one of our dynasty leagues that I just saw. So he traded out of the 101, and he got a haul for it. So if you, to
be fair, I traded the 101 for the 102, the 202, and a 2025 second rounder.
It was a haul, an absolute haul. And if you believe in Caleb Williams as a generational talent like I do, that might have been a bad trade, but I think Biggs got a haul for that one. So I think that was a good move. But yeah, there are miss rates at the quarterback position, especially entering the NFL at one of the more volatile positions. You know, wide receivers tend to have a little bit more success rate in those top tier draft positions, especially in super flex. And when you provide with a foundation like a wide receiver can, or an upside of a quarterback that has longevity, they can anchor your team for a long time, like a decade. And guys like CJ Stroud, who had a monster rookie season last year, I think that could happen again, and I think that could happen this year with Caleb Williams. And I think my expectations are sky high for Leb, if you will. I think bigz. Did you patent that phrase? Was it Leb?
I don't know. All the cool people are calling him that.
Exactly. So you are the coolest of the cats, and you patented in my eyes. So I'm going to call him Leb from now on.
I'm not cool. I'm just a poser. I'm just following the pack.
All right. Well, landing spot plays a significant role in the early success and the development of young quarterbacks. And I think Caleb Williams, or Leb, if you will, was in the best situation a quarterback could ever ask for as a rookie. Williams may not be quite the dual threat quarterback that, say Jaden Daniels is, and he may not be as prolific in the college stats, but Caleb Williams has got all those things around him. And now you put, all this talent around him. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and now Roma Dunze. And, you can't, discredit Cole Kmet, who had a great season last year. They have a good running game, in my opinion, with Roshan Johnson and DeAndre Swift. With a Dunze there, that adds another wide receiver that has elite talent. Now, Caleb Williams is in a much better situation, in my opinion, than, say, CJ Stroud was last year. He is set up to smash in 2024. He's got a better rushing floor, in my opinion, than CJ Stroud does. And he's got, a rushing floor that could match maybe, say, Justin Herbert. Maybe not a Josh Allen type numbers, but he can run the ball, and he's known to be, a scrambler outside the pocket. He is going to smash his ADP this year, in my opinion, at QB 17. I think he's going to rank higher than that. I could see him, ranking in the top 12 in 2024, which is going to put him in the top 10 dynasty rankings. And I have Caleb Williams as my QB 7 in dynasty. I just moved up ahead of, Joe frickin' Burrow. So I like Caleb Williams, his situation, and he's my QB 7 in dynasty headed into this year. And with a good 2024, he could be easily a top 5 quarterback in dynasty, and he's my flag plant coming into 2024 at the quarterback position.
All right, so looking over the Fantasy Pros ADP, I'm going to throw some names out there, and I want you to tell me if you'd rather have them or Caleb Williams. Patrick Mahomes.
No, I would rather have Patrick Mahomes.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Joe Burrow.
Caleb Williams.
Anthony Richardson.
See, Anthony Richardson, and then it's Caleb Williams for me.
And then Justin Herbert.
Oh, I'd much rather have Caleb Williams than Justin Herbert.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's right around where, the quibble there is with Joe Burrow. So, basically, in your rankings, Richardson would go 6, Williams 7, and then Burrow 8.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. And none of them are going to be as good as Dak Prescott
this season.
I don't mind taking a 30-year-old quarterback in Dynasty. We've seen your Hall of Fame guys they're playing well into their 30s. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't have a problem taking Dak Prescott. And if picking in a super flex startup, say that I have like the number 7, I'm not going to take Caleb Williams. I'm not going to take a quarterback there. I'm going to draft somebody else like, I don't know, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and drop into the 2nd and grab Dak.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, man. Let's move on to the wide receiver flag plant, and I want to hear yours.
Oh, we're not doing running backs? Okay.
Let's do running backs. Let's do running backs because that's how the show sheet presents itself.
Okay.
Let's go.
I'm good either way. We could do tight ends even. Should I flag plant a cornerback? No. Okay. My running back flag plant is none other than Zamir White, running back for the Las Vegas Raiders, affectionately known in Raider Nation as Zeus. Last season, Zamir White was in year 2. He was on the depth chart behind Josh Jacobs, who struggled to start the year. Injury concerns, contract issues, and Zamir White just bided his time. Towards the end of the year, Josh Jacobs had an injury, missed the last 4 games of the season. Zamir White stepped in, averaging 20 touches a game on top of 4 targets and 4.8 yards per carry. Those averages, those numbers will put Zamir White over the course of a 17-game season into the top 12 as a running back. Let's look at Fantasy Pros ADP real quick. Where is Zamir White being drafted? Zamir White is being drafted as the running back 25. Now, most dynasty leagues have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, super flex, some flex spots, whatever. Zamir White not even being taken as a running back 2, and potentially in Antonio Pierce's run-focused offense with either Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. By the way, it's Aiden O'Connell's job to lose. He's going to get his 20 touches a game. And they beefed up their offensive line. They added depth with Cody Whitehair. They went out in the draft and they got road graders. They've got a top 5 defense over the second half of last season to get the ball into the offense's hands. Everything points to a huge year for Zamir White. He doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. He does catch the ball. Again, he was averaging 4 targets last season in the 4 games that Josh Jacobs missed, which is about where Josh Jacobs was. That projects to about 50 to 60 targets in the season. That's what Josh Jacobs was getting, so not a lot of change there. Basically, he takes over, and nobody's paying attention. He's my flag plant, Zamir White, Zeus.
Zeus is going to be on the loose in 2024. Biggs has got it on in the docket. I love it, man. And coming from a Raider Nation guru like yourself, I trust your word here, and I got a lot of Zeus shit now because of you. So hopefully that pans out, my friend.
I think one of the things that and I alluded to this when I was talking about, say you have the 108 in a startup draft and you don't take a Caleb Williams, you wait until the second and draft a Dak. When you have guys that have the potential to finish in the top 10, top 12 at their position, and you're able to get them a round or 2 later than guys who don't project to score that many points, but they have a better narrative, or the group think is more in on somebody like that. You're murdering your drafts. You're murdering because you're stacking up values, guys that are going to totally outplay their ADP, and that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here for. Yeah. We've got our fingers on the pulse of dynasty drafts, and we're telling you how to navigate.
You betcha. Now, I'm going to get into some guy that I'm going to just go right out of, and just flag plant somebody, and I'm going to be bold, and it might be something that I go down swinging for, and I'm okay with that. And here's my flag plant for 2024 at the running back position at this moment. I'm going with the Chargers, and I'm going with a guy that is a 3-year starter at Troy School. He set career all-time, rushing records for that school, 4,000 yards rushing, single season, 1,600 yards, single game, 248 yards, all records at Troy. So he was the workhorse over there at the university, adding 34 touchdowns over his 4 years. He had quite the final season. If you remember, he put up 1,661 yards on 297 carries, a true workhorse back. He topped 100 yards 7 times, and he topped 200 yards 3 times in 2023.
Okay, I give up. Who is it?
It is Kamani Vidal. Okay.
What?
And Yeah, man. I am going all in on Kamani Vidal in 2024 because of the opportunity that he has. He's got an opportunity to seize that backfield because of so many, question marks around it.
But Mike, he's got Gus Edwards in front of him.
Yeah, exactly. And, J.K. Dobbins potentially. And he's not the biggest back. He only sits at 5'8", 213 pounds, but he forced 94 missed tackles in 2023, and that is good for
that's
second
a lot.
in college. That's a lot. He was second most in college football. That's an impressive number, and he's a very good pass blocker too. So I think he's going to be able to get on the field pretty early in the season. He was their true workhorse back. He was third in the country in rushing grade, and he was amongst the players with 200 carries. So he ran the ball a ton. 317 times. So yes, he's going to have a lot of usage, but that's going to bode well for him. He enters one of the best situations a rookie could ask for outside of, better draft capital, in my opinion. Vidal is set to smash his ADP in 2024 and beyond. Some expected the Chargers to pick a back in the earlier rounds in the draft, but when they brought in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins to the roster, I think that fizzled out that flame. They got a gem in the 6th round in Kamani Vidal, in my opinion. J.K. Dobbins has got 2 bad knees, and I think he's washed, in my opinion. I think Gus Edwards can be the early down and goal line back, but he's a bit older too. And there's a chance that Vidal could play a substantial role immediately for the Chargers. I'm comfortable reaching for him as early as the 3rd round in rookie drafts. And in some situations, I'm even drafting him over Marshawn Lloyd. So I'm very, very high on Vidal in both redraft and dynasty. Vidal will see the field in his rookie season. He will carve out a role, I have no doubt. Vidal will enter as the starting running back in 2025. I'm flag planting that. So Vidal, 2024 flag plant for Grindberg.
I am a huge Kamani Vidal fan. I think anybody who pays attention to Player Profiler, anybody who pays attention to the undroppables, anybody who pays attention to Schultze, what up?
Hey,
should be in on Kamani Vidal. Let me give you a little rundown of some of the guys being drafted ahead of Kamani Vidal in dynasty leagues. Kareem Hunt, Deuce Vaughn, Damian Harris, Michael Carter, Dylan Laube. I mean, well, yeah. Dylan Laube should not be being drafted ahead of Kamani Vidal, even though I love him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamal Williams, Deontay Foreman. Ezekiel, he's got Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb in front of him. Ezekiel Elliott, Izzy Abanikanda, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook doesn't even have a team. He's being drafted ahead of Kamani Vidal. Kenneth Gainwell, Elijah Mitchell, Rico Dowdle, Ray Davis, Tank Bigsby, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, Will Shipley, Damian Pierce, Audric Estime, Jameel McLaughlin, Ty Chandler, Bucky Irving, A.J. Dillon, J.K. Dobbins, Khalil Herbert, Antonio Gibson, Keaton Mitchell, Tyler Algier, Braylon Allen, Rashawn Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, Gus Edwards, Jerome Ford, Marshawn Lloyd, Zach Moss, Condre Miller, Chase Brown, Devin Singletary, Raheem, all of these guys being drafted ahead of Kamani Vidal. No, thank you.
Yeah.
You guys take them.
Vidal fan, I gotta say.
Let's hear it, Schultze. What do you got?
You guys take all of those. Hang on, I was going to say, you guys take all of those players while I'm picking off wide receivers, and then I'll take Vidal later.
First of all, this is the premature episode because I hit the outro at the beginning. So it's premature all around for all of us.
Come on, producer, do your job.
Yeah, so, we're flying high here. But, dude, I'm not like the biggest Zamir White dude, as a player himself, but you're so dead on about the volume, and volume is king for running backs. And the ADP is just stupid.
It's bonkers.
Antonio Pierce has talked ad nauseum about we're going to pound the rock. This dude's going to get 25 carries a game. I don't know. It's It's right in front of us. How is that guy being drafted at running back 25?
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. Should we go with the intro title when we leave?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. All right.
Totally.
Yeah, I got you.
We gotta get the Ace Ventura going backwards, you know.
I did that on the forecast.
Nice hat, by the way. Give us a plug on that one.
I said forecast fantasy to the welcome, or the to welcome.
Perfect.
Fantasy forecast hat. Go over to Fantasy Football Advice Network and go to the Streamlabs shop and cop yourself. Also, subscribe to Fantasy Football Advice Network on YouTube and check out Mike and I in our other show, Fantasy Forecast.
Yeah, it's a redraft show, so if you don't follow us there, you should, because we're giving you the top-notch redraft information that you're going to win your leagues with. So yeah, keep following us.
Murder your families with our information.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I'm going back to the producer cave.
Yeah, see you later, man. I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be an accomplice either in this situation, either, Schultzy. Thanks for popping in there, buddy.
Wouldn't it be funny if like some schizophrenic out there was like, "What?" And yeah, that wouldn't be funny. I meant metaphorically. In your family leagues, watch our fantasy forecast for the redraft information and beat the hell out of your families. In fantasy football.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay,
right,
sorry. Go ahead. Oh,
Let's
it's
go to
me.
Wide receivers.
Well, Schultze made a great point when he talked about how volume is king with running backs. And there's an element at the wide receiver position that we like to talk about, and that is when you roll over a year, what is your vacated target percentage? And there's a young man who is primed for a year 3 breakout, in which his team invested heavily at the quarterback position, bringing in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They offloaded their target hog in Deontay Johnson, and that leaves all of the vacated targets for one George S. Pickens. I don't know if S is, I don't know. George Pickens. I'm going, like, I have 2 former Georgia national champions, actually. George Pickens, he's my flag plant for 2024. The dude is going to go off. He's an athletic beast. He has a top level average depth of target. He's got Russell Wilson, who is going to be chucking the ball. And when you look at the situation he was in last year, George Pickens had Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett throwing him the ball with 100 fewer attempts than those, with a similar number of attempts as those two guys. Russell Wilson had 100 fewer uncatchable throws. Deontay Johnson commands 140 targets a season. George Pickens does not have that competition anymore. Yeah, they've played around. The Steelers have gone out. They brought in some other wide receivers or whatever, but they have planted their own. I almost said flanted. They have planted their own flag that George Pickens is going to be the dude in the wide receiver room. And when they've got Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris smashing the ball, you're going to see loaded boxes because of their run game, and George Pickens out there doing work. And he's going to have a huge year. Year 3 breakout, vacated targets. All signs point to wheels up for George Pickens in 2024. Flag planted.
Planted flag. Man, this is going to be awkward because if you got George Pickens and I've got another Steelers wide receiver as my flag plant, what does that mean?
There's room for 2. There's more room in the hot tub. Just jump in.
Yeah, I'm jumping into the hot tub with you with the Steelers.
You know what? Just for that, I'm changing my flag plant at tight end from Jake Ferguson to Pat Freiermuth. I'm not.
No. That makes me really
Scotty
intrigued.
Miller flag plant is about to slap so hard.
Scotty Miller. Yeah, yes.
You redeemed yourself with that outro. Okay, Schultze, with that.
Schultze from the top rope.
He comes in and hits a banger. Good one. All right. Well, my flag plant is another Steelers wide receiver. So that's kind of baffling. So we're going to actually have to look at maybe on another show, talk about the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. If we both got guys that were, got circled as flag plants in 2024. And my flag plant for the wide receiver position is Roman Wilson, former Michigan wide receiver, who was selected 84th overall in the draft. Sneakily, one of the best landing spots, in my opinion, of the draft of any player. The Steelers seem to always find a way to swoop in and find a gem at wide receiver in the second or third round in the draft. And if Roman Wilson hits like I think he can, he could be a real smash value right now. 22 years old. He had 48 catches for 789 yards and 12 touchdowns last year as a key part of the Wolverines offense that was a national championship winner. He's athletic. He's a good slot receiver who ran a 4.39 at the combine. Very similar profile, if you will, to Ladd McConkey. If you like Ladd McConkey,
Ladd Light.
Ladd McConkey.
Hashtag Dads for Ladd.
Dads for Ladd. And I think Roman Wilson has a very similar profile to Ladd McConkey, and I like both those wide receivers. He's got great hands, good speed. He played slot in college, but he could play a little outside, so he's got that similar profile like we talked about a little bit here. He's just a bit thicker, so I think he could take a little bit of those hits. He's a smaller receiver, but I think he's tough, and I think he's going to be a frisky, perfect for a Mike Tomlin offense. The Steelers need help at wide receiver after trading Deontay Johnson to the Panthers, and Johnson left a ton of vacated targets, like bigz mentioned in the last segment there. I mean, Deontay Johnson averaged a whopping 9 targets per game the last 3 seasons in Pittsburgh in a run-heavy offense. George Pickens is flash star potential for the Steelers, and he's going to have a great year. But I also think there's room for a guy like Roman Wilson to come in and be the second in target share, potentially third behind Pickens and Pratt Freiermuth, potentially. Not a bad situation if you think about it, with all those vacated targets left behind. And the Steelers adding Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in the offseason, their passing game should be vastly improved. We have to proceed with caution, however, because we know that Arthur Smith, his usage of skilled players can be very unpredictable, but not more, frustrating than a Matt Canada offense. So it can't be any worse. Mark my words here. Roman Wilson will start the Steelers right out of the gate in the slot and be a target machine. I'm projecting him to hit 90 targets in 2024. That will translate into a top 40 finish at the position. I have him ranked as my wide receiver 9 amongst the rookies in this class, wide receiver 45 overall. Roman Wilson is projected, in my opinion, to finish as the wide receiver 8 in this class, and that's certainly flag plant worthy, if you ask me. Roman Wilson, the Wilson you want from the Steelers on your fantasy team.
Wow. Okay. Roman Wilson, definitely also an undroppables favorite. Looking at the unscore, he has a higher score. The threshold basically is what you want to score better than 70, right? You got guys in the 69.55 down to about 60. Some of the guys ahead of Roman Wilson: Jalen Polk, Brian Thomas Jr., Luke McCaffrey, Jalen McMillan, Jermaine Burton. But guys behind him in unscore: Javon Baker, Jacob Cowing, Malachi Corley, Keon Coleman, Jamari Thrash, Brennan Rice, Adonai Mitchell, Malik Washington, he's got a ton of steam. So yeah, Roman Wilson is right in there. Situationally, could be a huge year for him to come in and establish himself as a rookie, and then he is not being drafted in the top 130. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
No, that's not right. He's wide receiver 60. So basically, you're looking for him. He's right outside, right behind Quentin Johnston, just ahead of Dontavian Wicks.
Who's another guy that is being, criminally undervalued. Dontavian Wicks is going to gain steam in the next, month or two, for sure.
Something's wrong with this. Something's wrong. Let me see. This says, according to ADP from Fantasy Pros, Jerry Jeudy, Quentin Johnston, Roman Wilson, Dontavian Wicks, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think that's correct.
No, I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. should be in that.
That's something's wrong at Fantasy Pros.
No, it's Marvin Harrison Sr.
Right. Hey, Fantasy Pros, you might want to get on that because, yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad I found that. 61 Dontavian Wicks, 63 Tyler Lockett, 62 Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't believe my lying eyes. What is happening? All right. Yeah, Roman Wilson, love him. And again, there's room in the hot tub for two.
It'll be an interesting conversation when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation. When we think about them, housing a couple, at least 2 top 40 wide receivers. That doesn't. They have done that in the past, and I'm excited to see what it could be again. So, love it.
Absolutely.
Right. Now the tight end one. The tight end spot here is an interesting position because it has changed drastically over the last year. I remember going into 2023, it was a very sparse, landscape. And then you see guys like the Sam Laporta and the Trey McBride emerge, and now these guys are all of a sudden top 3 dynasty tight end assets, and it completely changed the landscape of it. And now you see a guy like Brock Bowers come in, and he's in a situation that, he's going to come out and he's going to have the opportunity to succeed. So there's a lot of situations here in the tight end landscape that could be some value here. So
yeah,
who do you got as your flag plan for 2024?
Well, let me start off with a trivia question.
Okay.
Who finished as the tight end 9 in PPR last season? I'll give you a hint. It's in the damn show notes, Mike.
I don't pay attention to your show notes. I don't.
No, they're your show notes. You're the one that wrote them.
Jake Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson is my flag plant. He finished ahead of Dalton Kincaid, and of course ahead of Dalton Schultz, and ahead of Dallas Goedert, and ahead of Kyle Pitts, and ahead of Taysom Hill, and ahead of Mark Andrews, and ahead of Tyler Conklin, and of course. Okay, so Jake Ferguson basically kind of rounded out the very end of what you're looking for in a tight end. Why is he my flag plant? Well, first of all, he is attached to my flag plant at quarterback, Dak Prescott. Second, I am talking about the Andrew Cooper yin and yang tight end strategy. That's where you draft 2 tight ends, one of them being a top 5 guy at least. Hopefully it's the number 1 or the number 2. So we're looking at pairing Jake Ferguson with somebody with that upside, a Mark Andrews who might have an injury history, a Travis Kelce who's falling in drafts, Sam Laporta, who, he's a rookie and he had an incredible rookie year, but look what Kyle Pitts did. He had an incredible rookie season also. But the key to the tight end 2 in your yin and yang is 90 targets or 10 touchdowns. Now, there aren't a lot of tight ends last season that had 10 touchdowns. In fact, there was one, and that was Sam Laporta. So we have to kind of have to shift, and we have to look at targets. And when we look at the target share that Jake Ferguson carried out of 2023, he had 102 targets. My math isn't very good. I I'm not good at math, but I think 102 is more than 90. So Jake Ferguson is a Yang tight end to whoever you're going to be drafting ahead of him. And Jake Ferguson is going to repeat his top 12 tight end numbers. If you're in a tight end premium league, if you're in a league where you can flex the tight end position and you're getting, he had 212 points last year. That's, I mean, we're talking in like the running back 30 range at wide receiver. We're talking equivalent to Rashee Rice, wide receiver 27. In a tight end premium league, he's gonna have even more points than that. So if you can flex him, he's a better flex than Rashee Rice was last year. Garrett Wilson, 213 points. That's a lot of production out of the tight end position, and so I'm planting it. My flag is planted. Jake Ferguson. Let's go.
Let's go. And he's connected to Dak Prescott, like you mentioned. So if you're play planning Dak, you have to have another secondary pass catcher there, and it only makes perfect sense. So yeah, good logical answer there. And I'm going to bring my homeboy Schultze on stage right now. So Schultze, bring yourself up, because we definitely need this is an homage to you, because we have a Jags fan here, and I'm going to represent your homeboy here, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this take afterwards. So I'm going to talk about a tight end that I think is a huge value in Dynasty still, and that is Evan Ingram. And he's being currently projected.
I thought you were going to say Brenton Strange.
No, not today. But
no, okay.
Evan Ingram. So, ahead of the 2022 season, he signed that 1-year prove-it deal, and he definitely proved it. He had 73 catches for 766 yards and 4 touchdowns. That was a very good, serviceable at that position, tight end 7 finish. Fast forwarded to last season, where he just had a monster year. He finished as the tight end 2 in most formats, and he was overshadowed by guys like Sam Laporta and Trey McBride, who had very good seasons. The slide of Travis Kelce also took a bunch of the headlines away from how great Evan Ingram was in 2023. He finished with 144 targets. 144 freaking targets for a tight end. That's exceptional. 114 receptions that went for 963 yards. He didn't catch a whole lot of touchdowns. He did get 4 of them. He led the Jags in targets last season, commanding a 22.6 target share, ranking him second in that position, only behind TJ Hawkinson, and Hawkinson didn't even finish the year. So the Jags have done nothing to make me think that he will be less productive. Yes, Brian Thomas comes in, but they also lost Calvin Ridley. And, Christian Kirk is great, but he's just a kind of like that slot guy who's going to command that target share when the number 1 wide receiver isn't going to be around. I think Evan Ingram is poised to have another huge year, and priced at the tight end 11, I am going to be taking him. The guy had 143 targets last year. Yes, as an emerging tight end coming up.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you could argue that Ingram isn't gonna steal a game, but he is gonna produce targets. And like Big said on his last segment, yin and yang. You want to get over that 90 threshold. Well, I think 53 freaking targets over that threshold is pretty awesome. Much like every non-Travis Kelce tight end, I'm going to go into this season looking for value, and Evan Ingram is going to be a value again. And I think at the age of 30, that is still pretty young for tight ends. He still has a lot left in the tank, and I think he's going to finish as a top 10 tight end again. Furthermore, I think he's not only going to finish as a top 10 tight end, he's going to finish as a top 6 tight end, flag planting Evan Ingram into 2024. And I think he's going to have some longevity beyond that still in Dynasty.
I think he's going to be locked in at least as your second target option on the team. Behind Kirk would be my guess. After Kirk got hurt last year, Ingram was averaging like just over 10 targets a game. So it really skyrocketed after the Kirk injury. But now you're looking at an offense with just pure speed on the outsides and Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis. Last year, your outsides were Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones. Now Zay he can still run, but he was hurt last year and he just wasn't right. And then you had Calvin Ridley on the other side. But now with like two legit ass burners on the perimeter here, I think Kirk and Ingram are just about to just go ham, both of them. You're looking at Trevor's got the connection with the two of them already. When you look at his outside guys, it's a new connection there. So Trevor's got the chemistry with those, with Kirk and Ingram, which is huge. And yeah, so the targets are going to come. One thing, the 2023 Jaguars just absolutely crap the bed in the red zone. So you would hope that this year they could get some of that straightened out, which would give you more targets, red zone targets, and hopefully more touchdowns for Ingram.
Well, I think Brian Thomas will add that red zone factor that they haven't really had much in the past. Like, I mean, they even struggled 2 years ago with Etienne in the red zone. He was so ineffective in the red zone, and they have a hard time scoring there. I think that's what they're missing to be, taking the next step. And if they can, be a little bit more prolific in the red zone, they've got a division that's wide open, and they could be competitive if they can, solidify that red zone usage. And I think Brian Thomas comes in there as a big body and can maybe steal some targets there. What do you think on that?
In the red zone specifically, I could see it for sure. But yeah, I love the effect of the speed opening up for Kirk and Ingram. Yeah. Ingram's athleticism on crossers and stuff, and getting him in space, which is Peterson absolutely saved Ingram's career. The Giants are always running him up the seam, trying to, make him look like Rob Gronkowski out there. And he's not. So Peterson, they were like, we've got this dude with the speed. Let's stop running him vertical and start letting him work horizontally and in space and let him use the speed that way. And boom, look what we got. So like I said, yeah, the speed coming from the outside, forcing defenders out. Yeah, I think Ingram is going to have another huge year.
Sweet.
I love the Jaguars. I love the Jaguars intel. We had some Raiders intel. Fuck the Chiefs.
Stupid Chiefs.
Fucking Chiefs.
Yeah, what do they do?
Nothing noteworthy going on with that team.
Win Super Bowls like some bitch.
I will say I'm a huge Turd Ferguson guy as well. Was all in on him last year. You were talking about vacated targets. He was like the guy with Dalton Schultz leaving and them not having like a ton of stuff past CD. Last year, I was in on him huge as a sleeper. But yeah, there's no reason Ferguson can't be a flag plant again this year because target city for him. And he's
they just lost Michael Gallup and his 600 yards.
Right. And so, and then the red zone targets too, like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but God, you watch red zone and like every time the Cowboys get down there, it's almost like they're going to at least try one to Ferguson. Yeah,
he only had 6 touchdowns, but I mean, we will talk next week with our special guest, Ryan Heath, about regression and whether that actually means anything. So you definitely want to tune into that. But he only had 6 touchdowns last year. Touchdowns aren't sticky. You can't really, say he's going to score more or he's going to only have 2 this season or whatever. But we'll see. The 102 targets, that's what I'm focused on. So if I'm going into a draft, Jake Ferguson is entering year 3. Evan Ingram is a little bit older, but he's essentially in his prime. We can see from the big slot type tight ends like Darren Waller and Evan Ingram now that if like you're starting to slide 28, 29, 30 years old. So if I'm going into a dynasty, I broke my phone. If I'm going into a dynasty startup and I'm targeting Evan Ingram in the early rounds as my first tight end off the board and Jake Ferguson as my second tight end, especially in a tight end premium league, those are smashes.
Yeah, man. Let's go. All right, Bigz.
Okay.
What do we got on the...
I thought we were going to get out of here.
No, let's talk about what's on the docket for next week, because we have a monster show coming on with two big guests, and one that is a home field advantage kind of guest that has helped us kind of catapult this show to the next level, and that's Travis Seal, who's helped us with the design, some intro videos, and just overall support. And then we got another big name too from Fantasy Points and bigz. Hooked him in. So why don't you tell our viewers who we're getting in next week for our huge show?
I can't even. I'm not thinking that far ahead. I'm about to go eat a hot dog. Oh, I remember now. Ryan Heath from Fantasy Points is going to come in. He's going to talk about some of the articles that he's written over the last month or two. We're talking wide receivers with their first downs per route run. We're talking about points per dropback for quarterbacks. It's going to be a very, very erudite and cerebral show. None of this stupid mock drafting. We're not into that anymore. That's for plebs. We're going to hit you in the heart of your intellectualism, and maybe come back to mock drafts in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, Ryan Heath and Travis Seal, your fellow countryman, although he is from the West Coast. Let's go, Travis Seal, maker of graphics like the nice overlay that you see, and he's an indispensable part of the Undroppables team, and somebody who's very, very pleasant to work with. Love me some Travis. So he'll be on the show with us next week. As always, Schultze, our producer, will be back. And bigz and Grindberg and bigz. You can find me at BigBonedFFB. You can find him at FFCanuck99. It's right there on the overlay. Thanks again to Travis Seal. But don't do that before you subscribe, hit the bell. Whether you're on Fantasy Football Plus Network and you've been watching the Dynasty Pulse for a while, whether you're new to the show because you're an undroppable subscriber, give us some comments. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Draft strategy, taking two running backs in a startup at the 1 and 2 in a mock draft. Are you kidding me? It was a mock draft. Whatever. Also, CMC is legit, and I'm not even going to defend myself again. Go watch the show from last week.
Hey,
but yeah, give us some comments, and as every week, I hope you win.
Yeah, and we love you all. Thanks to the Fantasy Football Plus Network, and thanks for the Undroppables for the uncanny support of our show. Couldn't do it without you. Thanks for all the viewers for tuning in, and remember to like and subscribe from all of us on the Dynasty Pulse. We'll catch you next time. We hope you win.
Producer!